Yo guys, what's up? Sleepio here. So I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video. Today's video will be about basically the near future of Division 2. Everything that's to come in the next weeks and months, I guess. Before everybody asks in the comments if it didn't already happen in the last video, this expansion will release on the 3rd March of 2020, so in just a few weeks. I will structure this video a bit in case you want to skip to certain parts and just to make it more organized. First I will talk about the story, the new missions, the new area and a little bit about the endgame. In my last video I already showed one of those new missions. And then I will also talk about some of the new factions, yeah, we'll come to that. The new skills, then gear changes, what I think about them and how they felt since I played a little bit with the new gear. My personal highlight, the Dark Zone changes, but don't get too excited, there is not too much information about that. Then seasons and seasonal content, and in the end my opinion about all of that. Alright then, let's start with the story, the new missions and the new area. Yesterday I showed you parts of one of the new main missions, but there will be more than just one main mission. In total we will get 5 new main missions that will all have a big boss fight in the end, just like the one you saw in the last video. There will also be 8 new side missions, and they said those are directly connected to the main missions. So I would assume 4 of the main missions have 2 side missions each, one before and one after the main mission. But before I go into more detail about the story itself, I want to explain what the expansion even is. Warlords of New York is a narrative-driven standalone storyline. It still plays in the Division universe, of course, but it's not a follow-up to the current Division storyline with the Black Tusk. This expansion is actually a follow-up to the Division 1 story, just 8 months later. As the title of the expansion already says, you will go back to New York. More precise, South Manhattan. The playable area will consist of 4 named zones that each have a safe house, of course, and something like a base of operation in the middle. In the background you can already see some cinematic footage of that new area. Each zone has a main mission with a boss inside, and of course the already known activities like control points and randomly generated side activities. I was allowed to play one named zone and basically did everything you could do in that zone. That means different side activities, the control point, just free roaming, a side mission and the main mission that you saw yesterday. But back to topic. The goal is to get rid of 4 bosses, 1 in each zone, to then confront Aaron Keener. If you are not aware who Aaron Keener is, here a quick explanation. Do not spoil anybody that didn't play Division 1, I won't go too deep into the story. Aaron Keener was the first rogue agent and first appeared in Division 1, and he was an essential part of the Division 1 storyline. If you wanna know more about him, there is a video in the description. It's not from me, but I watched it and it's pretty accurate. So if you wanna learn more about that character, then I can recommend that. Back to the Division 2 though. So the structure of the storyline is like Far Cry 4, if you are familiar with that game. I don't know any other games with an equal system, so I just take that as an example. You need to clean 4 bosses in each of their respective zone, and then get to the big bad guy in the end. I don't know more about the story, but I think that's enough to not spoil too much anyways. With that expansion, we will also get an increase of the level cap, up to level 40 to be exact. The 4 new zones in South Manhattan will also level with the player, so you will never be under or over leveled. They are also adding an infinite level progression system that goes beyond level 40, which grants you perk or skill points that you can use to level up certain stats or bonuses, for example crit chance. There will be other things that you can level up, of course, but crit chance is the only thing that they showed in the presentation, so I just took that as an example. As I said, it's an infinite system, so if you play a lot, you also get rewarded with a lot of those perk points, compared to somebody that doesn't play a lot. I am personally really looking forward to this because, I'm somebody that plays a lot, so having a system like that that rewards you for playing a lot is pretty nice. Let's move on to factions. So there will be 2 returning factions from Division 1, the Cleaners and the Rikers. Both of the factions have been reworked. I only played against the Cleaners and the Rikers, but I have to say, on the Cleaners especially, they did a really good job on the rework. You've seen the Rikers yesterday in the main mission, that's basically all the footage I have of them. Of the Cleaners I said you don't have any footage since they were only in the area and I wasn't allowed to record that. But I will talk about them in a little bit in just a second. There's not much more to say about the Rikers. I showed the footage yesterday, so if you are interested what the new Rikers look like, then just watch the video from yesterday. You may have noticed the cleaners in the episode 3 trailer already, which by the way will release very soon. I don't know when exactly, because I am pre-recording this video, so I don't have an exact date for episode 3 yet. As you maybe know, I'm not the biggest PvE guy for this game, but comparing the new cleaners and the new Rikers to the other Division 2 factions, those two are probably the most versatile but also most annoying factions. I think you could see that yesterday in the gameplay quite well with some of the Riker NPCs. They are pretty annoying. Like, they have that guy with the small shield that blinds you a bit, and then also the tank with the big shield that has those bleeding darts. It's pretty annoying to fight. I sadly don't remember every NPC from the cleaners, but let's start with the ones I do remember. First up we have the big flamethrower guy. I think everybody that played Division 1 remembers that one. On the screen you can see how he looked like in Division 1. So that is probably the biggest NPC in size, but definitely not the most annoying. The flamethrower guy works like in Division 1, you can shoot the 3 weak spots, and then he's really easy to kill. But those weak spots are definitely more tanky than they were in Division 1, at least that's how it felt like, but I mean, my gear was pretty bad I think, so it's kinda hard to tell, but that's how it felt like. Then you also have the normal flamethrower guy, not too special, he just has a normal tank on the back that you can shoot and, well, a flamethrower. They also added a shielded NPC that they already had in Division 1 as well, this time with a slightly bigger shield and also a transparent one. It also feels a lot harder to destroy. I actually didn't destroy one of those shields, I just didn't try. I just shot on the feet because that shield really felt tanky, and I didn't try to kill it even, I just shot on the foot. Because those rushers with the shield were mainly red bars. Lastly, you also have the normal cleaners that just shoot with a normal gun at you. Nothing too special there either. They are adding 4 new skills, and I don't mean skill variants, I actually mean new skills. If you watched my video yesterday, then you maybe noticed the sticky bomb I have, because that is one of the new skills. They basically brought that back from Division 1. The other 3 skills are a decoy, a shock trap, and something like a fire sticky bomb. We didn't get to see how the shock trap and the fire sticky bomb work, so I can't say anything about them. But we got to play with the sticky bomb from the beginning on, and then got a decoy after killing the boss in the main mission. Before I talk about the functionality of the skills, I want to mention how you get them. As I said earlier, there's gonna be 4 new bosses in the area, which you have to kill before you get to Kina. All of those bosses have one of those skills that they use against you. After killing the boss, you can root the skill of the corpse. At least that's how it worked in the mission I played. So let's start with the sticky bomb. As you maybe saw yesterday in the footage, I wasn't very good with it, and I am not 100% sure if it was my fault or the server's fault. Because most of the time it felt like I'm on the target, but then it just didn't do damage. So maybe that was a little bit buggy. It's really hard to tell if it was actually me or the server that didn't make it work. If you played Division 1, it basically works exactly like the original sticky bomb. If you haven't played Division 1, you could compare to a chem launcher with a remote explosive charge that you can detonate. Now let's get to the decoy. As you saw yesterday, I got it from the boss of the main mission. And the main mission, or at least the last encounter, was basically designed around that skill. It was pretty cool. I hope all of those main missions, or at least the boss fights, are designed around the skills, because that was pretty cool. Sadly, I wasn't allowed to show the skill menu, so I can't show you how the skill exactly looks and all the stats, and how it improves with the skill tiers. I can't show that. But I got to play with the decoy after I stopped recording. With just skill tier 1, it isn't very tanky and it dies really fast. It has like 250k HP, and after a few shots it's destroyed. It also didn't seem to attract much attention, but I could be wrong since it got shut down by the NPCs quite fast every time. With higher skill tiers you will improve the health and also the threat level, so it might be decent at higher skill tiers, but with a DPS build or a tank build, I wouldn't say it's a good skill to play. The shock trap sounded interesting, but I don't like stunning effects too much, especially not in PvP. I sadly can't say anything about the fire sticky bomb, because that is the skill I actually forgot about. Let's talk about the gear changes now and how they felt to me. So the character you started with had one equipped piece of armor and one weapon, that's it. I couldn't test as much as I wanted to because I just didn't get enough pieces during the playtime. But I can definitely say it is way easier to understand if an item you get is good or bad. I mainly played a weapon damage focused build and tested something like a skill focused build in the end. An important thing that you might ask yourself first, how strong are elites without damage to elites, since they are removing that stat? My answer to that is that they are definitely harder than before, but I'm pretty sure that's a good thing, because elites should be the strongest NPCs and not purple bars. It just doesn't make sense that elites would die faster than a purple bar NPC. It just makes no sense, right? It seemed balanced though. They are not too strong or too weak, but again, it's really hard to tell if you don't have a min-max build that I would normally have. Let's talk a little bit about the skill builds as well. In my play session, I got to skill tier 3 with skill tier 6 being the highest. There's also an overcharge for skills, but that can't be permanent as far as I know, so I will just leave that one out. At skill tier 3, my Seeker Mines felt as strong as they feel now with a min-max skill build with the BTSU gloves, so that seemed pretty strong, I have to say. But I tested this on free roaming red bar NPCs, so against elites you might run into more trouble, especially if you can't spec into damage to elites anymore. On top of all the changes to the existing gear, we also get new gear, of course. That includes new exotic armor pieces and weapons, new brand sets, new gear sets, and of course new weapons and some more named items. Alright, let's get to my personal highlight of the presentation now. The Dark Zone changes. Sadly, we didn't get to see any gameplay of the changes, we didn't get much info about the changes itself either. But they said the focus will be on player combat, so PvP. They want to make the Dark Zone more like Division 1 Dark Zone, which is really good, because the current Dark Zone is, well, not the most enjoyable activity, to say it nice. Sure, Division 1 PvP wasn't the greatest either, but definitely better than what we have now. I refuse to believe that you can make the PvP in Division 2 any worse. Sadly, that's already everything I know about the Dark Zone changes. As I said, not much, but it's really good news for everybody that likes PvP, I think. Let's hope they make good changes. Before I get to the seasonal content, I want to mention the raid very briefly. All they said about the new raid is that it will be harder than the first raid in every way. Mechanics, boss fight, group organization, etc. We didn't get to see any footage of the raid, not even screenshots, so that's all the info I have. And on top of all the content we are getting, they will also introduce seasonal contents, basically seasons to Division. They mentioned a few things that they want to do with the seasons, but I don't remember everything. What I remember is that we will get global events back. For everybody that is not familiar with what global events are, here is a quick explanation. A global event introduces a global modifier, or even two, that can change the game completely. That's also what they said in the presentation. In Division 1, for example, we had a modifier that increased headshot damage for you and your group, and another modifier that made enemies explode. That was a different global event, but that's just some examples of modifiers that you could add to a game, right? I always enjoyed the global events because the game itself changed for a period of time, and you had something to do. With that, they also introduced leaderboards and focus on that a little bit more. I don't know for what activities though, since we already have leaderboards in the game. There will also be lots of new cosmetics, of course, in case you care, and a season pass. Yes, you heard that right, a season pass. Let's hope they do that one right. As I said, there were a few more things, but I don't remember them. And what is my opinion on all of that? Well, I didn't expect much when I got invited to Massive. To be honest, I thought I would just play an episode 3 main mission. So I was quite surprised to see all the upcoming content. Warlords of New York is a big expansion, way bigger than I thought. But it's mainly PvE. And PvE missions are fun for the first, maybe the second time, but if it's not repetitive, you won't keep your players playing. I'm sure a normal casual player will be satisfied with this expansion. There's quite a bit to play and explore. But a hardcore player like me, that can play like 8 hours every day, I don't know if I will keep playing the same content over and over again if it's just not fun enough. I like the main mission that they showed us, really good stuff, but I would never play that more than maybe twice, if I don't have to. With targeted loot, you can make players play all kinds of activities, just for a bit until the target loot changes. That is a good system, because you don't have to do the same stuff over and over again. But there will always be a best way to farm. Currently, if it's not fixed when this video comes out, it is the control point farm at Crash Site, which gives you so much loot, there's just nothing that compares to that. And if things like that are in the game, there's just no incentive at all for a hardcore player at least that just wants to get good gear to do, I don't know, whatever with it, speedrun raids, missions, PvP, you know, whatever. But that player would never play a normal mission that takes 10 minutes if he could do that control point cheese farm for 10 minutes and get, I don't know, 10 times more loot, right? But with the gear changes in general, I feel that you can get a good build pretty fast, in comparison to now at least. And that's maybe a good thing for a casual player, but not for somebody like me and my mates. I wouldn't be surprised if I have at least 4 min-maxed good builds within a week of grinding, and then I will lose the motivation to play the game. Because I personally don't want to farm PvE to get good gear and then play more PvE just a little bit faster. I want to farm PvE to use my gear in PvP. So I hope they make good changes to the Dark Zone. And yeah, that is about it. I think I said everything that there is to say. All the info I got, I basically told you. And yeah, the video is probably long enough by now. Anyways, if you like my content and want to support me, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in my next video. Bye!